Welcome to the I Hate Critics movie review podcast. I am professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Hello.
Jeff, where do we find your stuff?
JeffLassiter.com is my website. I also have an Etsy shop. If you look up Jeff Lassiter Pop Cult, you'll find stickers and prints, and I've just added a bunch of original stuff. So go buy that so I can continue to live my life.
I hope the show has given you a boost.
I don't know, honestly, because I it seems pretty steady. I did have a decent December, which I usually do. Like I've been doing this shop since 2018, late 2018, and I've noticed every year around, say, the end of November, like right around Thanksgiving until the end of December, I usually have some pretty good weeks. But honestly, it's just, you know, if I make $100 a week, it's a good week. So let's make it $200 a week so I can buy batteries for my Star Wars display, or I don't know, frame some of my artwork. Not eat macaroni and cheese every time.
After the success of last week's episode, you should share photos of your Star Wars online so people can see what they're supporting.
I will do that.
So people will see if they pledge to this show, they'll be helping you display some of the finest materials of Star Wars history.
Yes, absolutely. I just want batteries for the lights for my display. Why are batteries so expensive?
That is a good question. I don't have an answer for that.
Everything's so expensive now, but
I'm another good reason for people to pledge to our Patreon is to help me get a new car, because I currently don't have a vehicle. So I have not seen any of the new movies this week, The Beekeeper, The Book of Clarence, or Mean Girls, because I currently don't have a vehicle. So, if you want to be a patron, this is a great opportunity to help me.
Yes, let's make this show the show of shows.
We'll make this a Patreon begging episode. How about that?
Well, no, I mean, the more people that support the Patreon, the more we'll be able to do special episodes. Like we talked about going to the Last Picture House and, watching a movie all together and, arranging that kind of stuff costs money that none of us really have right now. So, the more people we can get, $5 a month is kind of the entry level. And then, if you want to kind of go all in, we'll be happy to pick a movie for you to review.
Do a full commentary on, like we're going to do another Friday the 13th soon.
Yeah. As soon as you get a car, come over, we'll knock out a couple Friday the 13th. And like I said, I really want to pop and do a Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective with you too. So
yeah, that'd be cool. But it can only be done if people will donate to our Patreon. So patreon.com and I Hate Critics, that's where you can find that and make a pledge of some sort. So we'd greatly appreciate it. I'm of course also seeking donations for writing my book, Horror in the 90s. We just talked about that a little bit. But first, I want to talk about the Critics' Choice Awards. I thought the show went incredibly well on Sunday night. Oppenheimer coming away with Best Picture was a good choice. It seems like usually, oftentimes, and even with I'm very proud to be a member of the Critics' Choice, but it tends to be that there is always a consensus choice, and not everybody can be. And a consensus choice tends to be the one that can garner the most, broad appeal. And I was worried that perhaps something lesser might win, but in fact, I don't think there was a lesser one this year. This year, we did a really good job of putting together the nominees for Best Picture, and the fact that we were able to have Past Lives in there, at least as a competitor, that allowed me to vote for it was great. But I can't say anything bad about Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer did end up being the consensus choice, but I can't be mad about it. That was my number 3 movie of the year, so I was pretty happy with that, winning Best Picture. Robert Downey Jr. Coming away winning Best Supporting Actor was tremendous. I was really happy to see that, and I'm thinking that's going to be some good motivation to push him forward into the award season. for potential Oscar nomination, considering that the Oscar voting just ended today, Jeff.
I can't see him not getting it, but I've been really, really wrong before. So, Mia Goth and Pearl. Speaking of Mia Goth, did you hear the Mia Goth news?
She's being sued.
She's being sued for allegedly kicking a scene partner in the head during filming of Maxine, and then following him into the bathroom and taunting him, and
that part I hadn't heard.
Yeah, just really weird shit. And then I was, one of my friends was like, "Oh, I hope it's not true." And I'm like, "Dude, she's married to Shia LaBeouf, so anything is possible."
Oh no, I was not aware of that either.
Oh really? Yeah, that was one of those things I knew, but I thought they broke up, and then apparently she got bored during the pandemic and took him back. So hot goss.
Wow.
So yeah.
So yeah, if she's accused of doing weird shit, it does make sense.
It's one of those things like, okay, everybody's, innocent until proven guilty, but if this is true, it's like gonna really my number one movie of the year that I'm looking forward to is Maxine, and I don't really I don't want this to be true, obviously, because I still want to look forward to that movie. That makes sense.
Yeah. It is the only movie I'm anticipating in 2024. Just I've not heard anything else that I'm even remotely interested in so far. Yeah, nothing. I'm trying to think of something else that would be remotely interesting, and there's just nothing there.
Like, I like the Planet of the Apes movies, and there's one that looks like it kind of goes a little more into the Charlton Heston ones. Bob and I talked about it after you had to leave a couple weeks ago. So,
I'm so tired of IP franchises, even the ones I like.
Yeah,
I just want something like Maxine, which I guess is kind of an IP franchise in a way because it is the third film in a series, but it still feels so much more different and artistic than your average IP franchise. This is not super successful.
Speaking of IP franchises, we talked a little bit about the Rey Skywalker movie.
Yeah.
And the director coming out and saying, all that. Someone on the internet started the rumor, I'm not going to give them the exposure, that it had been put into turnaround and was not going to happen. It's like a long line of Star Wars movies that never happened, and this one's not going to happen either, and blah, blah, blah. To the point where Lucasfilm came out today and said, this is still happening. We are waiting for another draft of the script. Everything was on track. So many of the Star Wars movies under Disney have not happened. The Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron one is one. The Rian Johnson trilogy has not happened yet, even though they keep saying it's going to happen eventually. A lot of these, and so that I think that the people who were saying this really wanted that to be true.
Yeah.
Because there's that segment of Star Wars quote unquote fandom that just hates Star Wars. And we talked about this last week and whatever, but I think that the fact that they're trying to preemptively say that this movie's not going to happen makes me really, 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 really want them to make it happen. Just to piss these guys off. And yes, it's mostly guys. And Daisy Ridley has recently been talking about it in the last couple of weeks, and so is the director, and good for them. I want it to happen.
Well, we shall see. I do believe it will happen based off the information that I've read. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's talk about horror movies from the 90s. So I'm working on a book about horror in the 90s. I've been working on it for over a year now, and I've only made it to 1991. But, the award season pushed me back in terms of my my timeline because I had to spend a lot of time watching awards movies. My life is so hard. But this week, Jeff, I've already got 2 entries that are currently posted at horror.media, and I've got another one hopefully going up tomorrow. The first one I did is called The Unborn. Do you recall The Unborn?
I recall the cover of the VHS tape.
So The Unborn is a Roger Corman produced film, which tells you a lot about its quality.
Perfection.
Roger Corman, known for his elite films, really, truly.
Yes.
His legacy is helping like Peter Bogdanovich and Jack Nicholson and those guys, find ways to make movies that were they wanted to make, and giving them breaks to get in where they wanted to get in. But his bread and butter was making movies like The Unborn. It's just really shitty movies. The Unborn stars Brooke Adams as a children's book writer named Virginia, who she's desperate to get pregnant. Her and her husband, who is this milk toast loser named Brad, just complete non-entity. They end up going to this special doctor to try and get inseminated, and it works because the doctor is kind of a crazy guy who's trying to create a super race of babies. This super race of babies ends up killing most of the mothers who get this treatment, and Brooke Adams ends up having a baby that's this little monster that like can control her mind and cause her to kill people, and then it kills people, and it looks so very fucking silly, Jeff.
Oh, I can imagine.
The tiny little baby monster is very, very funny.
Poor Brooke Adams. I mean, she went from being in my favorite sci-fi movie of all time, the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, to The Unborn, a new generation in terror.
There's apparently a sequel to The Unborn that came out later in the 90s, and I'm not sure if I'll cover that one because I don't think it was theatrically released, but maybe.
But how was Lisa Kudrow in the movie?
Blink and you'll miss her. Yeah, she plays an assistant to the crazy doctor, and she shows up for just a moment and then is gone. So you blink and you'll miss her.
See, I don't think I saw this, but I'm looking through the pictures on IMDb, and first of all, Lisa Kudrow looks like Maya Rudolph. Second of all, James Karen is in this movie.
Yeah, he's the crazy doctor.
Worth seeing. God, there's a picture of the baby. Holy shit.
Right?
Oh my God. It looks like somebody went on a blind date with. No, I might have to watch this movie now.
It's terrible. Just heads up. It's not good.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I like James Karen. I like Brooke Adams, and I like Lisa Kudrow. So,
do you remember the Human Genome Project?
Well, I didn't participate in it yet, but yeah.
You remember it as a concept from the 90s.
Yes.
The conspiracy theory at the heart of The Unborn is that Karen's character, he is a former scientist with the Human Genome Project.
Oh God.
Apparently now, the Human Genome Project, by the way, is still something that's still happening. Still goes on today, mapping the human genome. And that's all it was. It's just mapping human genes. A very non-controversial thing that scientists were working on. But apparently there was a subgenre of like people who were conspiracy theorizing that the Human Genome Project was trying to change the human genes and like transform humanity or whatnot.
God, if only they would.
And of course, Roger Corman would lead into that. Of course, he would.
Yeah. God, I'm looking at the Unborn 2, the photos from that.
Oh boy!
Holy shit! Oh, you're gonna get to that one it's in 1994, so.
Right, but it wasn't theatrically released, so I got to make a decision if I want to actually watch it.
Oh, I think you should do a chapter on horrible direct-to-video sequels, because that's a lot of 90s movies.
Yeah, it's also going to make the book a lot longer and harder to finish.
One chapter. I mean, this baby looks like an adult Joe Pesci who has like Benjamin Button syndrome and sausage fingers. You have to watch this. Or you know what? Watch it and then like do an addendum to your Unborn chapter.
Yeah. There's something, the thing about it is that there's a dearth of good movies made that take advantage of pregnancy as a horror metaphor, because like first time pregnancies, people who are pregnant for the very first time, that is a terrifying situation. That is it's filled with all sorts of anxiety and fear. And it seems like something that a good filmmaker could take good advantage of. I think, not to say that Roman Polanski's done anything ever good, but he's a terrible person, but he made a good movie in Rosemary's Baby, which does seem to capitalize on the fears of a first-time mother. But there have been a number, this is a whole subgenre of films that are about, pregnant women giving birth to demons or, and such. And they're rarely any good.
Yeah. Well, I think, like Rosemary's Baby really kind of set the bar so high that, how do you match that? The confluence of like pregnant moms discovering their baby, something's wrong with their baby, and demonic possession movies. There's just kind of like it's almost a circle.
Mm-hmm.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
So
was Freddy born? Didn't he do a thing where Freddy was a baby who was born?
That was Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. And Alice, who was in part 4, who was introduced in part 4, and her boyfriend, was it Rick? No, that was her brother. Dan, the Major League hunk. They had sex in the beginning, and then she got pregnant and gave birth to Freddy in a dream. Or Amanda Kruger, the nun, gave birth. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in a long time. But there's a scene of, I think it's at the end of the movie, with Freddy erupting from the nun's chest or stomach or somewhere.
Yeah.
This horribly deformed baby. You know what? I'm gonna have to just post a different Freddy image every week on the show
I think
page.
so. It seems that way.
Last week was the parakeet. Did you get a look at that?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It was weird.
Bizarre. So yeah, I'll have to find a picture of baby Freddy to send you. So
please, yes, show the world.
You'll get to that movie eventually. I think that was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was.
Or was that late 80s? I think it might have been 1989.
I think the first 90s Freddy is 3, I think. No, 4.
Yeah, I'm trying to. No, The Dream Child was 1989.
Mm-hmm.
So you just missed it. I think Freddy's Dead is the only 90s besides New Nightmare.
Oh.
I'm checking that out while we're riveting audio. 1991, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get to Wes Craven's New Nightmare this year. It was 1994.
Oh, I'll take care of that one for the 94 podcast, and and the other one for the book, which I'll get. They'll all be in the book, but
yeah.
The other one I've got up is just went up minutes ago, just before we started recording, is one of the rare hidden gems I've found in the 1990s. There was a movie that came out in the 1990s called The Reflecting Skin. You recall this one?
I do not.
The Reflecting Skin stars Viggo Mortensen, and it's directed by a guy named Philip Ridley. And you can see, like the early sort of the essence of a Ari Aster to this movie. There's because all of the horror here is so bright and so visual and so in your mind. Like this is like a genesis of that. Like you could sense that perhaps maybe he was influenced by this. I don't think he was. I don't think anybody ever saw this movie because it only made $17,000 during its theatrical run. But it's such an artful horror film. The premise is that there's this little boy in Idaho in the early 1950s. He's a little sociopath. He likes to blow up toads and explode them in people's faces. Like,
wow.
Yeah, he's a little creep. The movie centers on him. He's 8 years old, and he's a very unreliable narrator because he's so naive. He has no life experience, so he doesn't understand all these things that are happening around him. The woman he explodes this toad in the face of this woman who's walking down a walking path, and her name is Dolphin Blue, played by Lindsay Duncan. And when he's sent by his mother to go apologize to this woman, she has this mental breakdown in front of him that is just it's exciting and strange and weird. She's talking about her husband who's just committed suicide prior to the story. And he comes to believe via that conversation and via conversation with his father that this woman, Dolphin, is a vampire. He's convinced of it. And, just in kind of that imaginative way a child has. Then one of his friends gets killed. He's got two little buddies, and one of them is just straight up murdered. We don't see this. We just see his body afterwards. And that's the key. A key to this film, Jeff, is that a lot of it is happening in your head. They're putting the horror in your mind as opposed to showing you everything, because Seth, the main character, isn't seeing these things. So he's having to sort of elaborate in his imagination what is happening, specifically so that he can place the blame on Dolphin. And that's part of the story, again, is this kid being unreliable. But his dad comes to be the one who is suspected of the actual murder of this child, but only because the dad was once caught having sex with a man, which, of course, in the 1940s means you're automatically a criminal.
Well, yeah, even now,
I mean, you get arrested twice a week.
Yeah, right.
Just for being a gay man.
I wish.
Just like the attention.
I mean, they'd probably send me to an all-women's prison. It wouldn't be worth it.
So Viggo Mortensen eventually returns. He was in the war, but he was also part of the nuclear tests on Bikini Atoll that happened immediately after the war. And the furthering of our bombs that we were making, and that's led to him getting radiation poisoning. Well, he comes back and starts a relationship with Dolphin, and because he's suffering from radiation poisoning, his brother is able to extrapolate that Dolphin is a vampire who's killing him, which leads to something terrible that happens at the end of the movie. This movie is fucking brilliant, is what I'm saying. The cinematography is absolutely gorgeous. These beautiful, bright, golden soybean fields that you see are just the brightness. You don't often see so much color in horror movies. And it's a very unusual horror movie because, again, there's not a lot of blood. There's not a lot of gore. There is a body count. There's definitely a body count. But most of the horror, again, is just projected straight into your head.
Interesting.
Yeah, and no one saw this.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
$17,042 in its entire theatrical run in 1991.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Hopefully, I'll be able to check it out.
Yeah, it's available for free. It's on the Roku channel, so
okay.
Anyone can watch it anytime. And I do recommend checking out The Reflecting Skin, and you find out why the title is The Reflecting Skin, and it is yet another horrifying image projected directly into your brain. All right, and the third film that I haven't written up yet, but will be writing up soon, is Bride of Re-Animator. Jeff, do you recall Bride of Re-Animator?
I own it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but...
Yeah, Bride of Re-Animator came out in 1991. We're returning Jeffrey Combs, which... How has Jeffrey Combs not had a resurgence? How has he not come back? How have horror people not gone, hey, where's Jeffrey Combs? Can we put him in a movie?
Oh, have you, okay.
What?
Well...
Is he a creep?
No. Oh, no. He's recently started doing a lot of conventions and stuff. I think he's done a lot of voice work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm trying to remember the last. He did Creep Show, an episode of Creep Show, a movie called Holiday Hell in 2019. But a lot of voice work. I mean, he has a great voice. I know he's been doing Star Trek Lower Decks. But yeah, I mean, Stand Against Evil. I'm looking up his IMDb again.
Bottom line is, I think that there's an entire generation of horror filmmakers who are missing out, not putting this guy in horror movies because he is an ultimate creep. Terrible doctor because he gets everything wrong every time. What is with this? The idea here is that Herbert West and Dan Kane are supposed to be geniuses, right? They're supposed to be these guys who are trying to defeat death through reanimation. They're the serum that Jeffrey Combs' character Herbert West has created, and they get it wrong every single time. It never works, Jeff. It never works once in the first movie. It doesn't work in the second movie. I'm betting it won't work in the third movie as well, because there's a third one that came out as well in the early 2000s, but I've not seen that one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one either.
Yeah. This is not good. It's not nearly as fun as the first film. It's a little bit more drawn out. It doesn't lean as much into the comedic aspects as the first one did. I thought the first one had a sense of humor to it that really kind of gave it an engine underneath all of the creepiness. Whereas this one just doesn't have that. It doesn't have any kind of sense of humor. It just sort of runs from one scene to the next very, very quickly, with Dr. Kane making some horrific creations where I guess he's just bored. Let me see if I can put an arm and a leg together. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Why? I got nothing better to do. Let me staple this hand to this knee and see what happens. I'll take an arm and put it on a dog. It'll work great.
Yeah, I barely remember that movie.
Because it's not very memorable is the problem. That's the problem. Right. Is as weird as it all is, and as weird as the body horror is, it's not a particularly memorable film. It's not a particularly good film, I think, and it just doesn't really. It just makes these characters look very, very stupid. Why do they keep doing this? What's the point of continuing to do this when they fail so miserably? And poor Kathleen Kinmont, my God, this woman went through so much to make this movie. She's the final form monster, the so-called bride of the title, and I mean, it's certainly quite a visual, but man, I feel sorry for her that she went through all that for this movie.
Well, that's true. Yeah, she's a really nice person, by the way.
Oh, is she? That's good.
Yeah, she does a lot of conventions and stuff like that.
She must be, considering that she must be the most patient human being in the world, having done what she did in this movie.
Well, I think part of it, the reputation of Re-Animator, the first one, is so great. Partially because of the cast, and they're playing it like a 50s mad scientist movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jeffrey Combs as Herbert West is running around like, I've got it, you know, by God, I've got it. And he's got a little bit of Colin Clive to him from the original Frankenstein. Fritz Weaver is just batshit crazy. And it's like he's picking off pieces of the scenery and with his decapitated body and feeding them to his decapitated head. You know, it's like,
yeah, scene where he's about to go down on a woman is very funny. It's a very funny scene. But I think the reason Re-Animator works is because it was directed by Stuart Gordon, and Stuart Gordon is one of the more underrated geniuses in film history. I mean, he's just. Mm-hmm. If you look back on his stuff, and Nathan Rabin, the brilliant writer, has been going through the entirety of the Stuart Gordon canon and just talking about how fucking genius he is and everything that he did. And he really did make a lot of great movies, even in these weird genre films, are really quite good because he's such a good director. Brian Usna is not as good a director.
No.
He doesn't have the eye. He doesn't have the sense of dark humor to him. He just doesn't have what Stuart Gordon has. And so the only good thing about Bride of Re-Animator really is just, I guess, the visual of the bride for a moment is weird and entertaining. And of course, Jeffrey Combs, who's just batshit. You completely believe this man is just so bored that he would create all these weird, creations and continue to try this serum out of sheer insanity, even though it never fucking works, not one time.
No. Yeah, it's not as demented. I mean, it's demented in a way, but it's not that fun, holy shit kind of demented. Mm-hmm. And that's from what I remember, that's kind of.
Well, and especially if you're gonna evoke Bride of Frankenstein, which is one of the all-time greats in terms of old school horror movies, you better bring the A game. If you're gonna evoke that, you've got to bring some A fucking game, because that movie is amazing. And this is not A game. This is this is far from it. This makes me wish I was watching Bride of Frankenstein instead of watching this.
Which is, I never really thought of that as a horror comedy, but I watched it again after somebody mentioned that they thought it was a comedy, and it's really actually funny.
Which one?
Like intentionally funny.
Bride of Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Praetorius. Oh.
Genius character.
So
yeah, that's where I'm at. Just finished Bride of Re-Animator, and I'll be moving on in the book and continuing on the journey through 1991, which I believe next is Body Parts. Do you know Body Parts?
That's Jeff Fahey, isn't it?
Yes.
I believe I've seen that when it came out, actually. But I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, I have no memory of it whatsoever. So it'll be an interesting find for me, for sure, to see Body Parts. And then I've got back-to-back iconic sequels. I've got Child's Play 3 and Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Nice.
And that's what's still coming up in the horror in the 90s series. Well, Jeff, you have a car, so you saw Mean Girls.
I also live like a 3-minute drive from the theater, so that helps. Um, yeah, I'm a big fan of the original Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, regardless whether we're going to talk about it on the show or not, I was going to go see it. And well, I didn't love it.
Oh.
Now I know that
Did you know it was a musical going in?
I knew it was a musical going in because I'm not a fucking idiot.
A lot of people are coming away surprised.
No, I understand that. So the October 3rd is Mean Girls Day, whatever kind of meme. I was in New York on October 3rd a few years ago, and I actually went to see a play with Bobby Cannavale and Daniel Radcliffe and Cherry Jones, but I, for a split second, thought about going to see Mean Girls on Broadway on October 3rd, which but I did not. I've never seen the musical. I never listened to the music, so I went into this completely blind. Some of the songs were great, and some of the songs were okay. I realized that I'm supposed to, as a gay man, fawn all over it because A, it's Mean Girls, and B, it's a musical and whatever. But for the first half of the movie, all I could think about was the fact that it's the dialogue down to the inflections, and a lot of it is exactly the same.
Okay.
They aside from the music, which there are some real good songs in it, there wasn't anything new. They didn't really add anything to kind of update it. If you're a Mean Girls fan and you only know the movie, the original movie, it's there's not much there except the songs, and there's Renee Rapp, who is a fucking star.
Oh, really? Okay.
She's so good in this movie. If you get a chance to watch any of her interviews, she doesn't hold anything back. She literally says,
been catching a lot of flack for that.
Well, you know what? Fuck those people who are giving her flack, because she's exactly what we need right now. Somebody who's not afraid to speak her mind and talk about the bad treatment she's gotten and shit like that. When she's on screen, and especially when she's singing, it's this movie is like top tier. Then there's the part where, like in the original, when Rachel McAdams was out of the movie for about 25 minutes, the last quarter of this movie, she's in like 2 scenes, and you really miss her because everybody else is just kind of okay in it. Angourie Rice, who I like as an actor, she's not Lindsay Lohan.
Right.
And I understand that saying something like that is, she's never going to be. And that's part of the discourse around remakes just in general. This should be its own thing. But you miss all the original actors in it because nobody here except for Renee Rapp is really doing anything outstanding.
Okay.
I will give them that Angourie Rice looks so much like she could be Jenna Fisher's daughter, who plays her mom, that it's a little uncanny at times.
Yeah.
You get flashes of like 2005 Pam from The Office every once in a while. Everybody has seen the original Mean Girls, and the cast is really just, perfect for every part of it.
So do they do do they have a dumb girl like what Amanda Seyfried played?
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest sticking points about it. Amanda Seyfried played it dumb in a smart way. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Amanda Seyfried was in on the joke. Okay.
Right.
Avantika, who plays Karen in this one, seems like she's just doing a one-note joke. She's not in on the joke. She's just the joke. She's always looking blankly at the camera or wherever, unless she's singing her song. And I was like, there's nothing there except the dumb joke. So that to me, that was like, I'm sure she's great in other stuff, and she was great as the singer, and when she was singing her part.
Yeah.
But her characterization of Karen was just one note to me, and that really stuck out. B.B. Wood was Gretchen Wieners, and the fact that they did not say that her father invented toaster strudel kind of pissed me off, and I don't know if that's a legal thing or whatever, but I mean, that's like, that's one of her things in the movie was the fact that her father invented toaster strudel.
Yeah.
There's no, I didn't really get any chemistry between Katie and Aaron Samuels, because Christopher Briney to me was just a blank. He was no Jonathan Bennett, we'll put it that way. Jaquel Spivey, who played Damien in this version, was hilarious and funny and an amazing singer. A couple things that I did like, Busy Phillips as Regina's mom, who replacing Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
She just like, she's young enough. She looks young enough, and she is young enough that she really, you get that I'm a cool mom kind of thing.
Right. I've seen that in the trailers.
Yeah. She gets that character perfectly. And her and Renee Rapp look enough alike that you really buy it. I know I'm going to butcher her name, but Auli'i Cravalho, who plays Janice, she's really good. Her and Damien are the narrators, so they sang a lot of the exposition, which I think probably worked better on stage than it does here. Although they have a couple real good songs in it. This is like a rentable movie for me. Okay. But there's not enough that differentiates it from the 2004 version to really recommend, rushing to theaters and seeing it. It's just like some of it is very rote. Like, oh, we said this, so we have to say it, and this is how you say it. Like that, you make sure that you're watching the movie, so you say it exactly the way that Lindsay Lohan said it. So her cameo is kind of cute.
Oh, there's a cameo?
Mm-hmm. Not going to give anything away, but she's good.
How was Tina Fey? I mean, how did they treat the characters who were there for the original film?
Tina Fey was Tina Fey. She was she was Ms. Norbury, like she was. There is like a dropped kind of updating of her relationship with another character that I don't think you really got from the first movie. But there's a little kind of, oh, get this, we're a little more progressive now. So, yeah, the fact that she wrote the book for the musical is kind of disappointing, because I mean, it's not as snappy as the movie was, even though it said, it's kind of the same story up almost like to a line from the original up until about halfway through. And then that's when the musical part of it kicks in even a little more. Yeah. And I think if this movie had been a musical like Evita, where everything is sung, I would have loved that. So, but like Ashley Park is in the movie, and she's great. I like her in a lot of stuff, but she's kind of wasted. So is John Hamm, except for his like gym shorts. John Hamm has some nice hams. We'll just put it that way, ladies. Jenna Fisher is not given anything to do, really. She's got, she has a couple scenes, but she's not doing really anything better or more distinct than like Anna Gasteyer did. So overall, it's rentable, or I guess streamable. Sorry, but I was the first half kind of like lulled me into a sense of boredom.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the original was the classic this week, and I don't think there's much to say. I mean, it's a classic. It does hold up, even 20 years later. It's still as good as it ever was. The same jokes hit the same way and just as well. I still find Amanda Seyfried to be the highlight of the film for me, and she's just so great. But Rachel McAdams did create kind of an icon in her performance as well. So. What is the lasting memory 20 years later for you of Mean Girls?
Well, people still say fetch a lot. They're still trying to make that happen. I think it's the catchphrases for me. Fetch, and she doesn't even go here. You can't sit with us. I have a group chat that with some of my friends from high school that we had another person in it who blocked me, so I couldn't see any of the interactions that she was having with anybody else. So I just started a new one and called it "You Can't Sit With Us," and that was like 10 years ago. and a picture of Lacey Chabet as Gretchen Wieners is the avatar for it. It's not. It's like that movie is so much in the zeitgeist that I think that this should have been marketed more as a musical, and had more music in it. So,
and further separated from the original, which is just already so special.
Yeah, and they updated the cast to make it a little less, whitewashed, and overall that works really well for all the characters. I think that a little more music and a little more differentiating it from the original would have been great. There's one sight gag.
Oh, go ahead.
There's one sight gag, and it's not giving anything away. You might not even see it the first time you watch it. Tim Meadows, who plays the same character as he did 20 years ago, sitting, is leaning on his desk, and behind him on the wall is a picture of him as the same character 20 years ago, leaning against his desk. And that kind of made me laugh a little bit, but not a lot of laughs in this version of it. So
I was struggling with the idea if there's even a need for a movie like this, considering what we have of the original, the original being so iconic.
Well, I mean, it is technically it's a different thing because it's they're not remaking the movie. That what they're doing is they're bringing the musical version to the screen, which worked really well for Hairspray. I mean, that's a phenomenal movie to me. But Hairspray, the way they did Hairspray, the music was much more pervasive and catchier.
Yeah.
So, there's a need, but not the way that they pulled it off, which is so much closer to the original movie. So it's watchable. It's just not one that, I if somebody said, "Oh, should I go see it in the theater?" No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, you want to play a round of Flickchart before we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do.
Raising Arizona or Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Ooh. I actually like Mr. and Mrs. Smith quite a bit. I'm going to pick that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know what I'm supposed to pick, but.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Raising Arizona all the way. That one's a winner.
So you want me to flip a coin?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, do you want heads or tails?
Heads.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Let's see. No one's seen that. That's not a movie.
What is it? Mean Girls, the musical? I'm just kidding.
All right. Unforgiven, 1992, or Fight Club?
Ooh. I'm gonna say Fight Club because although Unforgiven is a really good movie, I probably won't watch it as much as I would watch Fight Club just on the background.
Mm-hmm. Fight Club just feels a little bit more relevant, I think, even today.
Yeah.
In more of an unfortunate way, but for the people who identify as Tyler Durden online are people who need to be on a list.
Mm-hmm. You know
Not
it.
the hero of the movie, guys. Poltergeist 3 or Kingsman: The Secret Service?
Oh god, I hate the Kingsman movies. I hate that bro-y kind of movie. I'm sorry. I know that it's probably a better movie than Poltergeist 3, but I'm going to pick Poltergeist 3. It's ridiculous and horrible, but I used to work in the same building it takes place in, and the Hancock building was one of my favorite buildings in the world. So,
I'll flip the coin.
I didn't win. Sorry. Sorry to the ghost of Heather O'Rourke.
Never heard of either of those two. Moving on. Bronson or An Affair to Remember?
The remake or the original?
The 1957 original.
Bronson.
Definitely Bronson. Bronson's one of the best films of this century.
And Tom Hardy peeing in it, so.
I believe that's porn. I don't think we need to. Yeah, we're not. Why is Flickchart throwing porn at me? I'm not sure.
What's it showing you?
Already moved on. Long Shot or JCVD?
Long Shot.
Yeah, I agree. Although I do like JCVD a lot.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch him deconstruct himself. You know, he's not a guy who you see as having much of an internal life. So that was interesting. The Lego Batman movie or Lost in Translation?
I'm going to whisper to you what I think the answer should be. Just kidding. Lost in Translation.
Yeah. Lego Batman was not quite as good as the rest of the Lego movies.
Yeah.
2001: A Space Odyssey or Flash Gordon?
Ooh, the Sam, what's his face one?
Yeah, Sam Jones.
Oh, Sam Jones. Yeah. 2001. The older I get, the more I appreciate that movie.
It's such a great movie. It just gets better.
It would have been swapped for me if you'd asked me when I was a teenager, because I really loved the Flash Gordon movie with, especially the soundtrack. So,
Hairspray, 1988, or Wonder Boys?
God, it's listening to us, isn't it? I'm going to pick Hairspray. Wonder Boys was fine.
Oh, Wonder Boys is fantastic. I have to go with that. It's one of my favorite movies of the 2000s.
Hairspray it is.
All right. Next up, let's see here. Again, those aren't movies. We've done so many things with Flickchart that we've gone so far. I think we're running out of movies. The X-Files, 1998, or While You Were Sleeping?
X-Files for Amy.
Same. X-Files for me. I find While You Were Sleeping to be cloying.
It's fine. It's a perfectly fine movie, but it's one of those. It's a lesser Sandra Bullock movie. It's no Miss Congeniality.
Ray or Passengers?
Ray.
Yeah. Passengers was disappointing.
Ray, the upcoming Daisy Ridley Star Wars movie?
I thought it's called Ray Skywalker.
Yes, they should totally call it Ray Skywalker.
That is her name now, isn't it?
Yep.
Conspiracy theory or collateral?
Oh, Collateral.
Yeah, definitely collateral, no question.
Each one has somebody I don't really love, but
The Founder with Michael Keaton or The Contender with Jeff Bridges?
Hmm. I don't know. What are you picking?
I found The Founder to be very disappointing. I expected a lot more from that, but I thought it came off like Ray Kroc propaganda. Like
Yeah.
it came off as just trying to venerate somebody whom maybe he was a good guy, but but obviously he did a lot of things that were really shady to get to, where McDonald's got to. So,
Oh, yeah.
the contender for me is Jeff Bridges is having so much fun playing the president. Like just these little asides about shark meat sandwiches. They stay with me even today. Just how weird that is.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick The Contender. Now that you talk about it a little more,
The Nutty Professor or Adam's Family Reunion?
which Nutty Professor? Because I can't see it on the screen.
1996.
Adam's Family.
Yeah, there's no. That Eddie Murphy stuff is just so bad back in the day. The Bank Job with Jason Statham or Insidious Chapter 2?
Insidious.
Yeah, I'll go there.
Until you get to part 4, I really like them.
The Awful Truth, 1937, Cary Grant, amazing film. Or My Favorite Martian with Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's The Awful Truth.
Of course it's going to be My Favorite Martian. Just kidding. The Awful Truth, obviously.
Let's see here. We've got Deep Rising with Treat Williams or My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin.
I honestly don't give a shit about either of those movies. I guess I'll pick Steve Martin.
I don't know why I saw this thing on Instagram. For some reason, this was on just a joke that somebody made. They were just basically saying, "I don't believe that the FBI takes people and puts them into witness protection, and you can't prove me wrong because you can't tell me you're in witness protection."
That's a good point.
Yeah, My Blue Heaven. I mentioned that because My Blue Heaven is about that. So.
Yeah.
The Game, 1997, or the original Highlander?
The Game.
Yeah, because Highlander is a terrible series of films.
Yeah, I only remember watching the first one because I thought Christopher Lambert was kind of cute, but that was 30, 40 years ago.
Potentially divisive here. You could really hurt Bob's feelings. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, or Rocky?
Rocky.
Yeah, it's Rocky.
Jason Goes to Hell is my least favorite of the Friday the 13th movies. Almost, it's neck and neck with that and the remake from 2009.
Still, I hope you do have some good anecdotes for that when we talk about it.
Oh, I will.
March of the Penguins or Hall Pass?
I have not seen either one of those movies.
Hall Pass. March of the Penguins is great. It's a documentary about penguins, so
yeah,
not much rewatchability. Hall Pass. I never laugh at shit jokes. Like shit jokes usually just make me ill. I don't like seeing that on in a movie ever. But Hall Pass has a genuinely funny shit joke in it that I actually talked about on another podcast.
Oh,
yeah. I went on this podcast that was about talking about like bodily functions. They wanted to talk about bodily functions in movies, and I was talking about, the few times I've walked out of movies were related to people doing things with asses, essentially. Formula 51 with Samuel L. Jackson, where they're just shitting themselves. There's just the scene where he feeds them pills and they just start shitting themselves everywhere. And it's just, I got up and walked out. And a movie called College, where they were pouring alcohol between a guy's ass cheeks and forcing people to drink it. And it was so needless. I just got up and walked out of that. And they wanted to talk about that and Sallow. So I talked about Sallow. I talked about Hall Pass and those two movies. It's one of the more interesting podcasts I've ever done outside of this one.
But Sallow is a good movie.
I don't remember what the podcast is called anymore, but yeah. Blood Diamond or City Slickers 2?
Blood Diamond.
Yeah.
I did not like the City Slickers movie.
Not a fan of Curly's Gold?
No, not a fan of City Slickers, just in general.
Dante's Peak or This Means War?
This Means War is the Chris Pine, Reese Witherspoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dante's Peak. I don't.
Dante's Peak is a movie where they drive a Jeep over lava.
I know. That's why I'm picking it.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie. They're driving on lava. It's so fucking stupid. I'll take This Means War.
Okay, well. Oh, This Means War.
Good. This is such a dumb idea. So stupid.
Oh.
Let's see if we can get an actual movie anybody's seen here. How about The Slums of Beverly Hills or The Island?
Slums of Beverly Hills.
Yeah. The Island is terrible.
Yeah, it really is.
Dude, it's really listening to us. The computer is genuinely fucking listening to us. The Power of the Dog or Formula 51?
Oh my god. Oh.
I think there's a question on that one.
Yeah. Obviously Formula 51.
Ah.
I'm kidding.
Fahrenheit 9/11 or Zelig?
Fahrenheit 9/11.
Zelig's not bad though. Well, Woody Allen.
Bad, I just
Woody Allen's bad, but not that movie.
Yeah.
Never seen that. Let's see. Really are running out of movies. Hereditary, which will win, or the Red Dawn remake 2012.
Oh God. Of course.
Yeah.
You want funny story about Red Dawn. Okay, so my dad, this is back when you could rent video cassettes, and there was that video store in your first floor.
Yes, there was a video store that was under the house I lived in as a kid.
Yeah, and so my mom had talked to my dad after she was on her way home from work, and she said, do you want to watch a movie or something? And he said, yeah, get The Hunt for Red October. So my mom went over to the video store and got home, and they were all excited to watch it, and it was Red Dawn. My dad was so confused. So, just a little stupid funny story.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, we got to wrap this up, but thank you very much. I'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
See ya.